I like to
By the
think
time
that
he thought
he was in a Simpson style, what was it, tontine? With some other troops with a bunch of Nazi gold, and because he's Captain America, he lived the longest. And sometime in the 70s, he won. He got the gold. So now he's just well-to-do. Anyway, that's some good fan fiction from Werewolf Radar. How you doing, everyone? Enjoying where Marvel's going into craziness? I have no idea what's going on with Marvel. I'm into the paranormal, as I hope you all are. I'm Roger Norquist.
I am Nate Balding.
And you're listening once again to Werewolf Radar, the world's most premier paranormal preparedness podcast.
That sounds about right.
This week, we got crazy paranormal topics to talk to you about. But first, a little message from our sponsor.
Yes, as all brought to you by Monstroko brand Skittlers. Are you sick and tired of the same old flavors of candy at your local Five and Dime?
Yes.
Get yourself a pack of Monstroko brand Skittlers. They come in original, they come in chthonic, and they come in fully nefarious. Taste the wrong side of the rainbow. Monstroko. What the fuck?
To be honest, want to try this. I am a Skittles fan, and sometimes I look for something different just to switch it up, get new taste on my palate. When are they in the market? Soon?
Oh, you can get them anytime. You just have to invert a Skittles pack while it's closed.
Yeah,
you go to the Monstroko candy website, monstroko.co.candy.
Which I'm buying right now. Let me do that.
And it will give you instructions for a small incantation you can say over any package of Skittles that will invert the package and move it through a realm of chaos and then back into your hands with a full serving of Skittlers. You don't know what flavor you're going to get, but it's going to be different. That's for sure.
I love it. Okay, so Nate, do you want to go first, or should I continue my deep dive into the Pnti?
Oh boy. You know what? I'll go first.
Okay.
I got a fun little thing here. So I'll pick up the old speaking skull, shove my thumbs into the sides of its head, keep it quiet. This is from Haunted NOLA, I guess. The article is, "My granny was a vampire smuggling casket girl." We're going to get into it. This is the story of the Casket Girls. This is from October 2021. This is a fairly recent article.
Now, may I interject with a question?
Sure.
For the YouTube, that's what's behind you right now, right? These are some Casket Girls?
Yes, that's actually that's a wax museum recreation of the arrival of a casket girl.
I like them. I like the outfit. I dig the hat. Cape's very nice.
So our story begins in the earliest days of New Orleans, when the governor of Louisiana at the time, Jean-Baptiste Lemoyne de Bienfait, made a request that the government back in France send marriageable women to help increase the population of the fledgling colony. So this was a thing that had actually happened previously in Quebec, back when it was just New France. Early on in I believe it was the Montreal settlement, or what would eventually become Montreal. But either way, in Quebec, it was a lot of just rough ass lumberjacks and trappers and stuff. Not a lot of women. The men outnumbered women by some crazy amount. You know, the ratio was way, way off.
42 to 1.
Yes, it might have been.
It was something like that. There's reasons why they have the culture they do.
Well, so what happened was the
male prostitutes.
You know, there was probably a lot of guy on guy stuff going on.
Oh no, Montreal has a long history of male prostitutes, some of the finest in the world, in fact. I know this for reasons that are not what you think.
Because you're pen pals with Scott Thompson.
A lot of kids in the hall.
But at the time, so this is mid to late 16th century, somewhere in there. The governor at the time of the what would just be forts, basically, sent a letter back to France saying, "Look, our ratio's off. Can you send us women?" And the French were like, "Yes, we can." But they took that to mean like, we can empty all of our women's prisons, all of our beggars, we can send them, and all of our prostitutes. So they got rid of a lot of vagrants and prisoners, and which the Montreal settlement was like, that's not what we meant. We meant marriageable women. And they were like, okay, fine. And so there was a sponsored program called the Filles du Roi, which was the king's daughters. These were women who were more chaste and bound to the church, that sort of thing.
Gotcha. Good girls in the sense.
Between the ages of 12 and 25.
Of course.
So I think it's something like 780 something women were sent from France to Montreal. And almost all of them became married within like a year or two. And it really did help the colony grow.
Of course, because all these women were being SA'd. I love how the colony called out to France and went, "Yo, we have a sausage party," and France was all like, "Oh, we got the cure. Send in the whores." And then, of course, the misunderstanding.
Well, it wasn't a misunderstanding. They knew in France what they wanted, and they were like, "But why don't we just empty our prisons? They're not going to know until it's too late." Just like traditional, like, lifers tattooed on the face with the gangs they represent sent over. I'm, modernizing it a little bit, but that's what's in my head. Pretty much. Anyway, so these women, the brides, as they were called, they would arrive with what's a small, like a travel case called a cassette or a casket, which was everything that they could bring to their new, like, this is their lifetime trip. Everything that they owned, that they wanted for ostensibly the remainder of their existence, inside of this basically airline carry-on. Anyway, so the same thing happened in New Orleans. And again, they got 258 girls and women of dubious repute during the years 1719 to 1721.
Bunch of hot-ass women just playing with switchblades.
The arrivals were not well received, and many were refused marriage. However, in 1728, It's said that a new group of girls of a more acceptable quality began to arrive in New Orleans.
Boo! I like the switchblade bitch. I'll marry her.
I think that they only end up getting, I think it's like 13 or 18 girls or something like that. For this one, because France is like, we sent you a bunch. Fucking, what do you want from us?
Go get some from your Montreal brethren. You're on the same continent. Surely it's faster. Go up the Mississippi.
Well, and I believe initially the women of dubious repute were sent to the 258 girls and women were sent to Biloxi, and Biloxi was a fucking nightmare. Like all those dudes, like as bad as it would probably have been wherever you got sent to as a purchasable bride. I guess Biloxi was especially harsh. So a lot of those women ended up going to New Orleans and saying, hey, we're from the king or whatever. And that's, so it seems like they weren't specifically shipped to New Orleans, except the ones in 1728, the 13 or 18 girls, whatever it is, they were sent to New Orleans. However, when they got there, they had been below decks basically the entire trip. Some of them had tuberculosis. They were all fucked up looking, pale, and like some of them had scurvy. Like they did not look good when they got off the ship, carrying their little caskets.
I'm a beggar, okay? I can't be choosing. There's 42 dudes to every one lady. I think you're beautiful.
Well, so,
I like your scurvy bones. I like how they bend. That's what I would say. And I would make a lady very happy.
But people, nonetheless, people were surprised. They expected, the same thing that happened in Quebec. And it did not. They were surprised by their pale, otherworldly complexions, according to the article. Their name, Fille la Cassette, was anglicized to the very creepy name Casket Girls.
Mm-hmm.
The legends say some of the girls were found to be so strange looking that they could not find husbands. It's almost all of them. And the luckless lasses fell under the care and protection of the Ursuline nuns of New Orleans. The Casket Girls eventually found themselves living in the Ursuline convent on Chartres Street, which you can go to today. It's a big, creepy-ass area. The current old Ursuline convent at Chartres Street and Ursulines Avenue was completed in 1753, 25 years after the first Casket Girl arrivals. However, there was an original Ursuline convent built further away, but it was on swampland. So that's one of the main reasons they moved. To the house the nuns that had been invited from Rouen, France in 1927 and who were in need of a new building. The sisters ran an orphanage, infirmary, and school on the first floor of the new building while living on the second. The French colonial building itself is the oldest structure in New Orleans, having survived the two devastating fires that struck the French Quarter in 88 and 94. The nuns not only cared for the sick and dying during the outbreaks of yellow fever, they're also said to have tended to the wounded of the War of 1812 and the Civil War, which may explain some of the many ghosts. They also had a mental institution, a sanatorium of sorts, on the top floor in kind of a back area that was sort of closed off, which has a really creepy, there's just, it's got I forget what you call it. It's like a half door that opens so you can just kind of look in. And then there's all these chains hanging down.
Oh, yeah.
It's brick for the floor instead of wood, because wood would absorb all of the piss and shit and vomit brick you could just spray off. Or I guess you'd be buckets of water off, whatever.
Yeah, you can water it off. Spray it now is what we do, but
yeah. It was here, legend says, that the Casket Girls found a home in the third-floor attic. Their coffin-like wooden boxes containing their possessions stashed at the foot of their beds. At some point, the nuns sealed off the third floor, shuttering the windows, ostensibly to protect the virtue of the young women in their care. But then the hand mirrors the girls brought with them mysteriously vanished. Neighbors fell ill. Crops failed. Cats and dogs lived together. I think that's supposed to be funny, but maybe it happened.
I think they made a Ghostbusters reference.
Yes, I believe that's what's happening there. Whispers began that the vampire pale Casket Girls had brought an evil with them from the old country.
Nice.
Eventually, the nuns threw the Casket Girls out and closed up the third floor attic forever. Years later, this is interesting too. When they shuttered all of the windows on the third floor, and they used 800 screws made of pure silver that had been blessed by the Pope himself.
Damn, they went like hardcore demon battle protection. They were like, whatever this room is, it's sealed.
Yeah, well, because depending on the story here, either one of the nuns found a bunch of found all of their little casket luggage kind of together, and it had been, pretty heavy when they brought it into the house. And now it was all super light, and they were all empty. And she surmised, oh, they must have smuggled tiny little vampires. Or later on, there was a guy repairing the leaky roof who found all the empty caskets, and then it was his insane theory that they had actually smuggled a bunch of vampires from Eastern Europe.
Versus just that we got new suitcases.
Yeah. Or just, we acquired more things in the couple of years we've been here.
We need new ones. Nah, it's got to be the vampires.
Anyway, so that's how, pardon me, that's how the vampire rumor began.
Awesome. Love myself a vampire rumor.
Buttressed by other rumors that there were blood-drained corpses being found all over the greater New Orleans metro area.
Fucking love it. New Orleans is such a great place.
People, they believe that the vampires must still be returning to these tiny coffins. That's why they decided to shutter the windows. They figured that's how they were getting in and out.
Of course.
And that's where the 800 fully blessed silver screws come into place. Supposedly, John Paul II even re-blessed the anti-vampire screws. Take a guess what year he anti-vampired this convent.
1992.
You're very close.
I know my popes. Damn. Yeah, I know my popes.
As late as 1987, they were like, we're still not sure about these things.
I mean, while you're here, perhaps you bless.
If you look up at the third floor today, obviously you can still see that the windows are shuttered. There was also a rumor that during Katrina, one of the shutters got blown off, and the next day they called in somebody from the Vatican to come reset the shutter and bless it, although that definitely did not happen.
Yeah, no one during Katrina's
no one was getting in there.
buying an extremely expensive international plane ticket and rushing immigration. Like, that's like a crazy rush work visa we have to get. No.
Yeah. To bless one shutter. But all the precautions were for naught, for the vampires and their stories were in New Orleans for good, as anyone who has ever Googled New Orleans and vampires can tell you. One story holds that in the 1970s, a couple of ghost hunters ditched a tour of the convent and hid out in the courtyard with the intention of spending the night monitoring the sealed third-floor windows for vampiric shenanigans. Apparently they saw one of it looked like one of the shutters was like slightly askew. And they were like, let's stick around and see if they come out.
What do you think a vampire shenanigan is? Like, to where you kill someone then you put them in the fridge for later, and then your chupacabra drinks all the blood?
I mean, I would think.
I guess that's a chupacabra shenanigan.
Yeah, that's more of a chupacabra shenanigan. Yeah, vampire.
But I'm a vampire.
Again, would be like. I guess it would be like putting flour in some Kool-Aid and warming it up so it looks like it's like the blood thickness.
Mm-hmm.
And then you bless the Kool-Aid, or you have it blessed, and then you give that to your vampire pal.
And then they spit take because it's burning their insides.
Yeah. Alas, their corpses, drained of blood, were discovered the following morning. But the Casket Girls and their contraband bloodsuckers aren't the only macabre legends tied to the old Ursuline convent. Ghost hunters report that the apparitions of the nuns and their dark habits can be seen navigating the original 18th century staircase between the first and second floors in the main foyer, or moving about the lower rooms, tending to the spirits of the sick and dying. Which is kind of a bummer, the spirit tending to a sick and dying spirit.
Because it's just eternal. It's a repeating cycle. That's a purgatory or some syphilis. Nope. Sisyphus style torture.
Sisyphean, yeah. Horror. I mean, I would hope maybe that was just like a remnant kind of spectral presence, and not an intelligent presence. Like maybe if you're just seeing a picture from the past, then that's fine.
That's fine, yeah, because that's just
like
history.
Lingering psychic issues. But these ghosts haven't found the fame of the Casket Girls, who have been immortalized in musicals, fiction, and even a modern Gothic vampire ballet staged a few years back in Indiana.
Oh.
And I watched some segments of it. If you Google Casket Girls ballet, you'll come up with at least 5 or 6. They're fairly short, like clips from the ballet. Looks kind of fun though. I'd go to see it. It's like $5 or $6 probably. Which brings us to my great grandmother, the Fille du Roi Anne Talbot, born in 1651 in Rouen, France. Yep, there you go.
It's beautiful.
And who was married off at the age of 19 in Quebec, Canada. Yes, just like Madonna, Tom Berenger, and Angelina Jolie, I'm a descendant of a Casket Girl. Were the Casket Girls of New Orleans the only alleged vampire smugglers, or did the importation of the bloodthirsty undead inconvenient carry-on size begin with the first wooden casket carried, possibly by Granny Talbot, into a new world colony that was a smorgasbord of tasty maple-flavored French colonists? Je ne sais pas.
Je ne sais pas. What a fun sentence to write. Good for you.
Anyway, yeah, that's My Granny Was a Vampire Smuggling Casket Girl by Michael DeMacher from Haunted Nola.
God damn it, I love it.
Yeah, and there's more to, like, you can get into the, like, sort of political history surrounding it too, because a lot of it was you get into like the guy writing to France being like, look, our dudes are going after natives and we can't have that. The intermingling of the blood. We need more whites in New Orleans.
Mm-hmm. Sent them all a bunch of switchblade ladies. Let me take the skull. I'll replace your thumbs with my thumbs, so everything remains in an equilibrium. And now I will continue with my deep dive, reading a Pnti primer, if you will. It is called the Pnti Gardeners of Intellect, a description of an extraterrestrial human race, Nate. If you remember, I did an interview with Sue Walker. A contactee of the Pnti. This is a book about the Pnti written by Jeff Demers and Sarah, or Sarah, a Pnti. Of course, all this is...
So this is co-written by an extraterrestrial?
Yes.
Okay, excellent.
With Sue Walker and her husband, Reverend Whiteotter, as reference. So we're learning about the Pnti, an alien race that you might not know anything about. To catch you up, Nate, the Pnti look very much so like gray aliens. I'm bringing up a photo of them right now. Go to our YouTube. Here's that, though. When you type in the Pnti aliens, though, we come up.
That's excellent.
Hell yeah.
They're it's very much a gray. It's got the bulbous black eyes, the kind of ovoid head.
Very much so. In fact, the Pnti are the ones that took Betty and Barney Hill for what the Pnti called a wellness check. Kind of similar to how, like, we'll just abduct a lion to check on its junk, you know?
Sure, yeah.
And then put them back in the wild, and they're all like, holy shit, what just happened to me? I was taken, and I saw a bright light, and they took some blood samples from me.
My favorite thing is every time we kidnap a lion, it's when we show it the star map to let it know that it's actually not where it thinks it is.
Nice. Cheesebot says that we should come up when we should research any paranormal thing. And you're right. We need to do more episodes about everything. We need to overload the algorithm to where we only come up. Every month we do one cryptid over and over again. Now, that's some background on that. Where else were we? Some new information that is what only came up last episode, not in the interview on last episode. The Pnti reside mostly physically in 5D, but can appear to us in 4D and physically in 3D. However, their 3D density is difficult for them to maintain in an extended life form. So they remain mainly in their 5D form, and that's when they can't be seen.
Right.
They're also 600 to 800 years ahead of us telepathically.
Sure. I mean, isn't the fifth dimension basically fully quantum? Like,
that's what the Pnti are, man. They're quantified. In the future, the Pnti say that there will be 7 hybrid races. As we evolve with the Pnti's help, we will ultimately become the 6th hybrid race. And then, when completed, we will all come together and become the 7th hybrid race of Earth.
Okay, so we're a building block towards this ultimate, like, final
what's that thing called in Dune? The Jezar, the ultimate being.
The quicksand. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Well, we all need to watch Dune now.
Well, it's the Bene Gesserit are the priestesses.
Are the people yeah. Anyway, that's what we're becoming as a race, though, not just as one being.
Haderach.
Yes, we're all becoming what was it again?
Kwisatz Haderach.
Kwisatz Haderach. We're all becoming that. Now, for a description of the Pnti as they currently are, we now continue for part 2 of Roger's Pnti party. Should have came up with that last episode, but we are where we are. Here's a description of the Pnti now. The Pnti are normally nocturnal, but can be active during the day. A typical Pnti height can range from as little as...
How are they nocturnal if they primarily exist in a 5th dimension where I doubt that there is any sense of night or day?
Well, I think the sun has some 5D properties, so they're hitting that. So I think there's a nocturnal sense in that still.
All right.
I don't know. Should we write an email to NASA?
Yes. Specifically to NASA.
All right. We'll see if we can get that done. So the Pnti height can range from as little as 2 feet tall to 4.5 feet tall, and in some rare instances can be 5 feet tall. The average lifespan is about 400 of our years. They are
one of theirs.
They are bipedal. They possess a large cranial with a skull ridgeline that encompasses a 4-hemisphere brain. 4 hemispheres. Also, Nate, as I'm sure you assume, they are the gray aliens, which they don't like being called that. They're the Pnti. They, of course, are also from Zeta Reticulum, as I'm sure you assume based on what we're saying.
Oh, yeah.
They're also closely related to the Shasani or the Shakani, which are an alien race as well. Now we're totally caught up. My bad. You need to know that, okay, Nate?
Oh, yeah. No, I understand.
They are mostly hairless. It is possible for some females, though, to have short hair. And the Pnti come in different skin colors ranging from light gray to pink to light blue, gray tan, etc. They are like us. They have 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 penises, 5 digits, 4 long fingers and a thumb. They have a small nose and a flattened nose bridge toward their eyes. Now, here's some physical analysis that is different. Their internal body structure and organs are similar to ours, except that their 2 lungs are much smaller compared to ours, a heart, small digestive system, a small jaw, little socket openings for ears. Their blood is copper-based. Since they are telepathic race, a deep low whisper is all they can manage. So they've lost the ability to talk, really. They're whisperers. They can't emit as much air through their vocal cords as us. So don't ask them to sing. Don't expect them to scream.
Right. Well, I mean, you can psychic sing.
You can psychic scream. Make someone bleed from the ears.
Exactly.
However,
get that fury going.
As difficult as it is for them, it is possible to string a few Earth words together. They can breathe our oxygen. They cannot yell, as we said. Their eyes are not almond-shaped as their Zeta counterparts. So everyone in Zeta Reticulum apparently has a similar evolution track that they're on. These star race, the Pnti, do not have their cousins' almond eye shapes, but are much larger than ours in size and have a myriad of iris colors and employ retractable darkened lenses for bright light and light ranges we cannot see. The Pnti see in color, they can blink. They also have very small eyelashes, and their eyes have tear ducts. You can make a Pnti cry.
But their sobs are just these quiet little...
It's very adorable. It just makes you want to hold them. Tell them the world's all okay. The Pnti have very small lips and have a tongue. Their teeth are very sharp and pointy. They do not have molars. They do not grind their food. Instead, they rip and tear their food so they can easily swallow it. They're also omnivores. We already discussed that. They eat live fish and, like us, a number of roughages and berries and fruits and vegetables.
Planks of wood. They could eat a ruler. They might be able to eat a mailbox real slow.
Yeah, just like humans. Look it up. Humans can do all that thing. All those things. The Pnti can also express emotion in their face. They laugh. They cry. The Pnti do have a sense of humor and can have a temper. They also, I learned from Sue Walker, enjoy our media. One of them is named, their human name is Radar, because that one is a huge fan of course, MASH, the movie, not the TV show.
Specifically the movie.
I don't know. It's probably the TV show. If we're being honest, probably the TV show.
I'm not sure Radar is even in the movie.
No, he is. I think it's the same actor too. He's just a fan of Radar. He just prefers the movie. Where are we now? The Pnti cry. They have a sense of humor. They have a temper. They get angry. When excited, the Pnti like to jump up and down, which is also a sign of approval.
They sound like fucking adorable cartoon show characters.
They do. That's exactly what I was thinking. They seem to be good dudes to hang out with, you know? They're inquisitive. They like your media. Like, they're very awe-stricken with everything you show them. They're like, I love it. Call me that. That is me now. Like, that type of energy. Like, all about it. The Pnti, Nate, are ticklish.
Oh.
And it is unknown if they possess any fingerprints or footprints. They have a big toe. They do have an ankle, and their joints and bone structure are similar to ours. They have fingernails, toenails. Their fingers enclose small, retractable suction cups on the inside tips of their fingers to handle any difficult object or cup it in their hand. They got squid hands.
Are they telling us that they have ankles just so that we know that we can have like Delia's BFF ankle bracelets with them?
I do think so. All right, Sue Walker, get ready for a bizarre package from Werewolf Radar. We are making the Pnti some ankle bracelets.
Ankle bracelets.
They're ticklish. They have cups. They feel textures. The Pnti skin is very tough and feels something like whale skin. Their skin rejuvenates once every Earth year or so in comparison to ours, which is replenished every 3 weeks. It is unknown if they can sweat. Their skin heals very quickly. They must indulge in regular nutrient drip baths to keep their skin pliable and in form. They're big spa people.
Yeah, sounds like a time.
When using nutrient drip baths, they also enjoy sending acoustic waves through the bath as a form of relaxation or spa treatment.
So they sing in the shower.
They sing in the shower. They sing in the bath. They put their mouth in there and belt out some Adele. They are limited in muscle strength and bone density is very small. The Pnti are very weak in physical strength, but can telepathically equalize an object's mass by adjusting the object's vibrations and frequency for maneuverability. They can move shit with their mind, basically. They can think it light enough for them to manipulate.
Yeah, that's pretty insane.
Yes. Now let's get into how they poop. They excrete their waste in a whitish paste substance while in certain baths specifically designed for this purpose. They poo in the bath. The Pnti are usually cleaned and nourished.
If anything divides our two races, I think the poo bath is going to be one of the big ones.
They can belt and experience flatulence, which they find hilarious. They like to belch through their nose. They think it's hilarious.
Wait, they must love Blazing Saddles.
They enjoy all the works of Mel Brooks. They do not enjoy Max Brooks. They don't get the zombie. They don't get his love of the paranormal, you know. His Sasquatch book was too much for him. The Pnti like to dance. The Pnti appear to have rhythm and can keep a beat. They like to hop and sway and move their body from side to side while dancing. And they enjoy dancing in large groups.
I can't decide if it's funnier to me if they're all like dancing to a bunch of Taylor Swift or if they're dancing to the Nub Nub song from Return of the Jedi.
It's always Nub Nub.
It's got to be right.
So as we discussed last episode and a little bit this episode, the Pnti are pescatarian. And
I thought they were omnivores.
They are omnivores.
Or they're capable of omnivores.
No, they're omnivores. Pescatarian is you eat fish for your meat.
Right, I know. I thought if they were omnivorous, they would eat anything.
Oh, no. Yeah. No, it's just meat and I think omnivore truly just means meat and then your plants.
All right, or just capable of eating anything.
Yes. I think bears are a good examtle of omnivore. Right. Maybe humans.
Fish. Yeah, omnivorous.
The Pnti are very much like fish or bears. They love fish live. They eat leafy greens and flowers and roots and shredded red cabbage and seaweed and vines. Pnti are basically small bears.
Well, and I like how bears can change the vibrational frequency of other objects to match their mass.
Another fun food point is that they can drink beer and wine, but in small doses. However, they don't like liquor or smoke cigarettes.
So, tiny amounts of poison.
Tiny amounts of poison. They love it. More food information, and then I think I'm going to wrap up, and we're going to do health and education and children and habits on a next next thrilling continuation of Roger's Pnti party. I also have love, Nate. The Pnti deal with love. I got some words. I'll end this episode or my segment on a Pnti word we can all practice. But let's go into some more food stuff. The Pnti avoid white processed sugars and seek out natural sugars.
All right, so they're cane boys.
They're cane boys. The iodized salt we use is harmful to them and acts as a corrosive agent. Now,
so they're also slug boys.
But sea salt is okay. It can't be the iodized, has to be sea salt.
How about pink Himalayan? How do they feel about that?
I think they are yet to experience it. Sea salt, isn't it? The Pnti are learning about our race doing such things, like trying things, trying foods. Maybe they just haven't reached Himalayan salt. If it's ionized, I don't think we're good. If it's unionized, I think we're good.
I think it's actually Himalayan sea salt. So
there's no sea in the Himalaya.
Already covered.
I refuse to believe
before, during Noah's time.
Now, the Pnti can use utensils if needed, but many at the mountain, Sandia Mountain, one of their bases, sit at a bench and food is inserted through a device that feeds the Pnti slowly into their mouth. Which is a utensil, but like weirder than what we're used to. This ain't no fork.
I mean, it's not weirder than what we're used to. It sounds like it's basically a straw.
I would like a steak through a straw, for being honest. The Pnti food that is not too spicy.
I mean, what's their top Scoville level?
I don't know. Their episode of Hot Ones isn't out yet. Now, in terms of some more food habits, most wheat products are avoided due to their small digestive system, but on occasion, small grains are consumed. As I said, dried and fresh fruits are desired, and certain vegetables are sought out. Soups are desirable.
I mean,
and that's gonna wrap up.
I also enjoy soup, but that's a funny way to put it.
That's gonna wrap up my segment on some physical analysis of the Pnti. Next episode, I'm going to go into a little bit of their health, their habits, what they like enjoying. They're really big kite fans. Well, they love flying kites.
Hey, I mean, it's a good time.
They have children. They're educated. They have an education system. They also celebrate things, Nate. And as I discussed, they have a language. I have a number of words. I forgot what I did last week. I think I did blue water people.
Are we the blue water people?
We are, yes. And that is Kiwahu.
Ah, Kiwahu.
Spelled, it is KWH, but pronounced Kiwahu. Or maybe we did thank you. We're going to give you a 2. Thank you is tik tik.
Tik tik. Tik tik, Kiwahu.
Yes. And maybe I did this one too last time. Mahaha Kalel. Mahaha Kalel is you are most welcome. And now to properly wrap up, a word that I have not taught you from the Pnti, we have Dokyawea, which is the first glimmer of sunrise.
Oh, beautiful.
Dokyawea. And that is the end of my segment. Roger's Pnti party. Nate, I'm going to put the skull back in the shed. Lock it up. There we go.
Muffle its screams.
And now I think we wrap up this episode. Thank you all for joining me and Nate on this week's episode of Werewolf Radar. We really love it that you're listening. Numbers be up. Really appreciate everyone new listening to us. If you haven't yet, give us a 5-star review wherever you can. It really helps others find the podcast and is one of the best and freest ways to help us. If you like us, want to help us a little bit, 5-star reviews are the perfect way to do it. If you have a little bit extra and can give without hurting yourself financially, check out our Patreon at patreon.com/werewolf radar, where you can give a small financial donation to us to keep the radar running and get us closer to our goal of becoming real podcasters. As Nate said in our news, that's our Pinocchio wish.
You're not just giving it to us for nothing. You actually get stuff in return.
You get so much stuff in return. You get Grave Nuggets, exclusive episodes that only the Dark Council Patreon members get, that Nate curates every week. You get fiction from me when I'm writing again and ready to edit and not trying to design a silly video game RPG. I get distracted, you know? You get merch from Jordan. You also get to hang out with us every Sunday when we record. And if you're bored on Monday afternoons, we have a Twitch channel where we're always streaming D&D every Monday, 4 p.m. Mountain Time. Check out that. That's twitch.tv/werewolf_radar. We have a Twitter. We're still on there watching the dumpster fire. Give us one of your 600 tweets that you get to view. We also have a Discord that runs perfectly and have a lot of good people in there sharing paranormal stuff, TV shows, fun little memes, all that. Spooky Appalachia's there. Who else is there? I think one of the coffee and graveyard ladies be there as well. And what else do we have, Nate? Is that it?
I mean, I think that's pretty much it. There's probably an Instagram that we don't really
There's an Instagram that we don't do anything with. There's a TikTok. Our YouTube, of course, we maintain properly, and you can see the video of this podcast you're listening to. See fun little things we share. Get to stare at us as we blank out on things to say at the end of every episode, as I'm doing now. But that's really it. And now on the count of 3, I think we wrap it up with our sign-off line that everyone gets to say on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Punch the sky. Spaceman. Whomever. Forgot it was Spaceman. Oh no, I'm gonna go the way of Jordan. He messed up last week and you got rid of him, Nate. Oh no!
Well, just don't go to the mountains, Roger.